Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you are new to this channel, on here I share my experiences about rural living, parenting, living a healthy lifestyle and making a living. If you like contents like that, then make sure to like this video, comment below on the comment section, subscribe to my channel and make sure that you hit the notification button so that you get notified every time I post a new video. If you are thinking about building your dream house in a rural location or you've already started, then you definitely want to watch this video. Everybody, keeps saying that it's cheap to build, but nobody actually gives you the actual price. So you never really know until you are in it. What we decided was, okay, now we've got our land, now we just need money to, to start building. We did our quotations and everything. We got somebody to do a plan. And at that time, we did not have like a lot of savings, at the bank. We spent about 4 years at the Wendy house, and we had thoughts initially that we were only going to spend maybe 1 year or so. The cost of building ended up being much more than we ever thought. I mean, the one time our roof alone, this one guy came with a quotation of 330,000 just for the roof alone. And our house, not that it's too big, it's just the way that it's shaped. There's a lot of space, there's a lot of areas where it's very open and there isn't a lot of support beams. So we had to be sure about the person we were getting to do our roof. Two things when you are building: to be sure that you get a professional to evaluate the safety and that all the structural integrity of your property is sound when you're doing the foundation and when you're doing the roof. So when we did the foundation, the guy that did it for us was very good, I would say. Plus, with the time that our property stood unfinished, it had time to settle in because we had to fill in some of the sections of the foundation, but it had time to settle in before we actually finished. And it would rain over the years, it rained, it would sink, and they ended up filling it in. So it gave us that kind of a safety. But when we did our roof, we bought material, and this guy came and he abandoned the construction in the middle of it, and he left his guys to finish. Shame, these guys were so nice. The guys that he was working with, they promised that they will help us and they will finish. But obviously, because he had a plan of how he was going to put the timbers and everything, they had to just figure out. And months after that, fortunately we had not moved into our house. Months after that, the structure was not holding up, guys. We could see our ceiling, our roof sinking. We could see our roof sinking, and eventually we had to redo everything. And you can imagine, we couldn't even put it on anybody because these guys were just helping us to get it finished. We had to bear all of that cost, the cost of undoing all of that work that we had done. We had to bear that cost. So guys, please make sure, as much as it's cheaper to build in a rural location and you can just get anybody to build, be sure about the person that you are employing to do your house. Be sure that you've seen the work that they've done. Get referrals, get people who will give you an account in terms of how they've done the work and how their work has held up. So we've had a big issue where we had to redo the whole roof. Luckily for us, the same guys came. We hired an engineer to come and inspect. There was an extra cost that we had to pay, but this time we had to do it properly. So we got an engineer to come and evaluate the whole structure and how it was failing and what needed to be done in order to do it properly. And luckily for us, those guys, they came back, they said they're willing to listen to what the engineer has to say. They took all the considerations from the engineer. He told them how it's supposed to be done, and it's been standing since then. And and we are happy about the work that they eventually did, but it was very costly for us. You can imagine if you're going to be undoing, and unfortunately when we undid it, you can see it rained. It was rainy season, it rained, and there was no cover over our materials. Some of the materials got damaged. We just took back whatever we could put back, but we had to buy new timber. It was a nightmare. It was more costly than it should have been because we did not check some of our builders' work properly. So make sure that you do that, and make sure that you save enough money. If possible, get one contractor that will do everything. Let them cost the materials, let them cost their labor, so that you know that you've got enough money saved. And remember, with building in this kind of an area, you cannot get a building loan from the bank. That's another thing that we were not aware of. We tried so many times to get a building loan for this property, but we couldn't. We had to save money, which, in retrospect now, it's been good for us because it means we don't owe a lot, but we did have to take some short-term loans. But the nice thing about short-term loans is that you pay a lot of money over a shorter period. So that saved me and my husband a lot. We do still owe some money, but it's going to be done in the next 2 years. And after that, we owe nobody for this property. Okay, so the one thing I want you to take from this, or a few things that I want you to take from this: make sure that you know your builders, make sure that you've saved enough money, get the costing and everything done before you start to build, or especially before you move into a temporary structure, because the temporary structure is that it's temporary. And guys, it was very hard for us with small children to live in the Wendy house for that amount of years that we were not prepared for, because it's a temporary structure. It doesn't hold up to the weather properly. It can become uncomfortable. And thank God, I really am grateful to God that our relationship, we managed to pull through all of that. We even went stronger. I learned, and he also learned, to look at life in a different way through living through that experience. But it can be very hard on a relationship when you're living in a condition like that. So if you're not prepared to live in a temporary structure for the amount of years that we ended up having to plan, I know we don't like to budget. Other things that we had to do at that time, we had to sell some of our cars at that time and buy cheaper cars so that we had money to put into the building, because as I said, you can't borrow enough from the bank for this kind of a building. You have to have a lot of money in your pockets. You have to get from your savings or from your monthly salary. So we had to cut down as much as we could, and part of that was moving from the rental that we were at that was more expensive. We ended up building this Wendy house and also selling our cars at that time and buying something cheaper. Luckily, later on, by the end of the building, I could sell my car completely and use a company car. So that really saved a lot of money for me. But guys, do what you have to do to make your dream come true. And at the end of the day, the more debts you let go in your life, the better your life will be. The more you'll be able to live a comfortable life, because you will not be owing anybody. If you have different ways of making an income, you know that money is going into your pockets and it's going into your savings. So, but I'll talk about all of those things in terms of minimal living, and also reducing debts or getting rid of debt altogether. But all in all, guys, I wish you all the best. If you are looking at buying a rural property, it's a very possible thing to be done. You can do it. You can enjoy the life in a rural property, but be prepared. Be prepared, or you will be very frustrated. Okay? In another video, maybe I'll talk about the life, the realities of living in a rural properties. It's not for everybody, but it can bring you a lot of joy if you are open. You are open about living a life that's more simple, learning to do with some of the things that we are learning to not do with some of the things that we are used to, and just changing the way you view your life and live your life. So wish you all the best. Like, subscribe, and share my video with your friends.